In this lunch hour, NMH at 1 will bring you the news making headlines in Namibia's local communities across the borders of Africa and international stories from across the globe. Lined up in this hour, City of Windhoek acting CEO says there is a plan to save municipality from insolvency. Construction of $11 million 10-kilometer Onamafila district road in Ohangwena Region begins. Civil servants told to think about the children ahead of striking plans. Taxi transport could be interrupted today as Namibia Transport and Taxi Trade Union plans strike. Stick with us for these stories read to you by me, Glenn Rashipura, right here on NMH at 1. In today's midday news update, Namibia Industrial Development Agency CEO Mihe Guamap says the problems NIDA has with on its Mangeti cattle ranch with regards to elephants destroying infrastructure cannot be compared to neighboring commercial farms as they have better infrastructure and smaller areas to manage. In comparison, elephants constantly destroy farm equipment on the ranch, and one death involving human-wildlife conflict has been observed of a NIDA employee.
Erecting appropriate fencing to manage the elephants. Now our area is quite vast in comparison to all those municipalities. In fact, it's more than triple the size of all of them. So, Philip, maybe you can come in.
On the aspect of the elephants, there are two things. One, you have a combination of the inhabitant of elephant, and then you have the migration from Angola via Namibia to Botswana. So you're looking at the 50-50 splits. With respect to the commercial farms in surrounding areas, they are getting support through meat board to fence off their farms. What we have agreed, what we are engaging meat board is for us to cover a portion of that section 5 where we can then guide the animal, the elephant, so that they are basically in a earmark kind of section. And
remember to engage us on social media and leave your thoughts in the comments as we share stories from local communities on the other side of the short break in our visual news segment. First up in our visual news segment, City of Windhoek acting CEO O'Brien Hekanjo says there is a plan to rein in the city's expenditure and save it from insolvency. This came after revelations by Windhoek Councillor Jergen Hecht that the city's finances are in disarray this week and that the city is facing the risk of insolvency after it had incurred cumulative losses to the value of $3.2 billion Namibian dollars. Ohangwena was there.
Financial initiative to turn around the city of Windhoek. Obviously, that initiative will look at various aspects. One of them is obviously on the income, meaning that what we are billing is cost reflective, so we are basically pricing our services correctly. As we have seen so far, like the honourable member has mentioned, over the past few years, the financials have been quite constrained. But looking at the 2021-2022, there is a slight improvement. However, like honourable member mentioned, was that the biggest challenge is obviously on the debt collection, revenue collection. So council has put in place quite a number of measures, like you mentioned, rate force, using prepaid water meters, prepaid meters. So there are efforts to try to improve that. But however, as management, we've actually gotten together last week to brainstorm a workshop, a financial recovery plan.
Minister of Works and Transport, John Mutora, held a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of Onamafila District Road in Ohangwena Region's Oshikunde constituency. The 10-kilometer road will be constructed by Nexus at the cost of 11 million Namibian dollars. The construction is expected to be completed within 6 months. Last year, the road, which was in a terrible state, was hindering the construction of the Onamafila clinic, which took close to 2 years to complete.
What we are going to do here is to break the ground. But I think in our traditional African beliefs, what we are doing here is now all of us are witnessing, but we also ask our ancestors to help us so that when the contractors, the colleagues who will be working here and the workers, that the good Lord should protect them and make sure that the work is done without any accidents, so that this road, as we've said there, all of us spoke there, is there for a purpose to help the people. We heard already what was said there. So this one is simply to symbolize that breaking this ground means now officially that the work is started. Although they have already started.
If you are an entrepreneur in the energy sector, then don't miss the opportunity to apply for the Access to Power initiative hosted by Startup Namibia. Yolanda Nell has more.
Startup Namibia is calling for all entrepreneurs for the Access to Power program that is currently open. Applicants must be above the age of 18, entrepreneurs with innovative solutions that enable the productive use of energy, especially for rural energy users. Entrepreneurs with access to internet facilities who can commit to completing the pre-incubation program and building their business ideas further in their add-on design thinking program. Entrepreneurs who are willing to pay a commitment fee of 300 Namibian dollars after receiving acceptance into the program have until the 29th of July to enter. It should be noted that all pre-incubation programs at Startup Namibia is valued at 10,000 Namibian dollar per startup. The Access to Power program is proudly sponsored by Basecamp in partnership with the Green People's Energy in Namibia. Now, a little bit more of the Green People's Energy. They aim to improve the conditions for decentralized energy supply in rural areas, primarily involving citizens and businesses. To this end, they are working in 9 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. In Namibia, Green People's Energy promotes the access and use of renewable energy for the population in rural areas. The initiative provides advisory services to actors at different levels. At the policy level, GBE advises decision makers on how to improve the framework conditions for an expansion of decentralized renewable energies. In order to improve the quality of installation and maintenance of RE systems in rural areas, the training offer for specialists from local companies is being expanded. Rural potential productive users of RE, such as small and micro enterprises and social institutions, will be supported in meeting their energy needs with a solar system. Solar companies will be incentivized through a results-based financing mechanism to expand their distribution structures into rural areas. Only 53% of the population has access to electricity, of which 77% of Namibia's urban inhabitants benefits from this, but only 29% of it is rural inhabitants. Even where the grid is available, 30 to 40% of households do not have access to electricity. Namibia could cover a large part of its electricity needs from the production of solar and wind power instead of importing electricity from abroad.
The Labour Minister has voiced concern over the planned strike by civil servants across all industries. This and more stories coming up on the other side of the break.
I'm so lost, so loopy over you, baby. Bubba, shoot. I'm so lost, so loopy over you.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. Labour Minister Utoni Nuyoma and his education counterpart Anangihi Pondoka have voiced concerns over a national shutdown emanating from a possible strike by civil servants across all industries, with a letter telling teachers to think about the children, reports Namibian Sun on its page 1. Gihi Pondoka reminded teachers that learners have already gone through a rough patch during the COVID-19 pandemic, which saw a rise in teenage pregnancies and disrupted learners' access to daily meals through the school feeding scheme. According to her, this program benefits more than 400,000 learners around the country, and many of the youngsters accessing school feeding rely on this as their only meal of the day. Namibian Sun reports that a total of 600 students have so far benefited from telecommunications giant MTC's national internship program. The telecommunication giant has now called on other corporates to pledge their support towards the program, which started in 2019 with $7 million budget and aims to assist between 160 and 1,600 students annually. Africa has the potential to become a key player in the global energy market, and the continent should embark on a policy convergence and regulatory reforms to unlock the potential of renewable technologies in green hydrogen, President Hage Geingob said. Now, the Afrikaans Daily Republican reports that the Windhoek municipality's accountant says the city's bus service and police department, which currently operates at a loss, should not be seen in isolation, but rather as part of its general service delivery task. Samuel Mutonga made these comments in response to the municipality's finances, which, according to Jurgen Hecht, a board member of Independent Patriots for Change, is in an alarming state. According to Mutonga, the City of Windhoek's strategy on how to solve its financial problems will be disclosed to city residents in due course. We should not look at these as isolated cases, but as part of general services provided to residents to be delivered, said Mutonga. He says one of the initiatives for the way forward is for the City of Windhoek to focus on working more responsibly with its finances. On page 2, the paper reports that it is D-Day for commuters in Windhoek. Taxi transport could be interrupted today in the capital. The president of the Namibia Transport and Taxi Trade Union, Werner January, insists that members of his union would this morning start with a nationwide strike. The strike was supposed to kick off yesterday, but according to January, there was talk that strikers had to pay the police to be able to strike, a situation for which he sought certainty in rewriting yesterday. Despite the fact that no certainty had been provided, him and his members will meet this morning at the Evelyn Court Flats in Evelyn Street, he says. Meanwhile, the Namibian Bus and Taxi Association said they are not aware of any strike and encourages drivers to deliver services as usual. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Forestry is currently investigating a case in which a permit was tendered to a person, allowing the person to cut 30 tons of camel thorn wood and export it to South Africa as firewood or charcoal. After the chairperson of the Administrative Committee, Ndeshihafela Laranja, together with her colleague on the 30 of Windhoek Council, Jurgen Hecht, turned down Mayor Sade Governor's explicit request on Monday to allow the public to see the city's financial disaster, Governors herself appeared before the media yesterday. Do stay tuned for more newspaper review right after the break. We continue reviewing our local newspapers. Now, the Namibian reports that as public servants get ready to vote in favor of a nationwide strike, the Namibian government yesterday said it has no obligation to pay them if they partake in industrial action. We recognize that the employees in terms of the law have the right to strike. However, under those circumstances, the employer is under no obligation to remunerate any of the employees who take part in the industrial action, said the Minister of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment, Utoni Nuyoma, yesterday at a press conference. Now, the government and its employees have reached a deadlock over salary increments. In a separate story, the police have demanded payment from taxi drivers before granting them approval for a planned nationwide strike. The Transport and Taxi Union wants to hold a strike to demand that the government increase the fares from 13 to 18 Namibian dollars and cancel fuel levies and some taxes. Head of Police Operations in Khomas Region, James Nandambo, confirmed that the union has submitted a notice of their planned strike, adding that he subsequently informed them that there was a fee to be paid for the deployment of officers. Allowing retailers to set their own fuel prices would be unwise, according to Mines and Energy Minister Tom Alwindo, as reported in today's Namibian. This comes after petrol prices in South Africa could soon be determined by retailers as the country's government moved to set a price cap on 93-octane petrol as a way of mitigating the rising cost of fuel. This will now allow consumers to sell at a price below the regulated price, including discounts on petrol. Alwindo said that the ministry cannot consider deregulating fuel prices as there are pros and cons to consider and that a comprehensive study would be required. New Era reports that a local fish trader who allegedly squandered 2 million Namibian dollars was arrested this weekend and charged under the POCA for fraud and money laundering after he allegedly defrauded a local businesswoman who ordered a consignment of fish from him on behalf of Deep Catch Fishing, which he never delivered. Now, the paper, in another story, reports that the cash-strapped city of Windhoek Council has promised to deliver 15,000 plots during their tenure, which ends in 3 years. Of these, 12,000 are earmarked for the low-income segment, while 3,000 are reserved for the middle to high-income market segments. The paper reports on its page 3 that the South African government is trying to trace the whereabouts of lawyer Maren de Klerk, one of the key figures in the fish rot scandal, after receiving an extradition request from Namibia on 15th October last year. The Office of the Prosecutor General in Namibia is requesting the extradition of de Klerk from South Africa to Namibia to stand trial on charges of racketeering, conspiracy to commit an offense, fraud, theft, money laundering, possession of use of proceeds of unlawful activities. The Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board has launched its High Potential Pool project to accelerate the growth of micro, small and medium enterprises in Namibia. According to the Market Watch, the HP3 initiative, as the board's executive director for MSME development, Dino Balotti, calls the project, is all about market access. This is a pool of Namibia's very best scalable micro and small businesses that will be offered opportunities to participate in a variety of export-focused capacity building and market access platforms and facilities, he said. Urgent action is needed to address the significant under-resourcing of Africa's protected and conserved areas. All this on the other side of the break.
I'm so lost, so loopy over you, baby. Shoot-a-dee-shoo. I'm so lost, so loopy over you.
In today's economic news, urgent action is needed to address the significant under-resourcing of Africa's protected and conserved areas. This should be undertaken through a range of instruments, including increased government funding, public-private partnerships, trust funds, and innovative financing mechanisms such as carbon trading. This is according to Kigali Call to Action, which was signed by more than 2,400 participants from 53 African and 27 other countries. The countries all recently participated in the International Union for Conservation of Nature Africa Protected and Conserved Areas Congress in Kigali, Rwanda. Under the theme for people and nature, the Congress is identified priority actions to strengthen Africa's protected and conserved areas in a manner that is just, equitable and fair. These actions include a strengthening of the rights of indigenous peoples and local communities, greater public and private financial investment in nature conservation and protected and conserved areas, and enhanced Pan-African collaboration, cooperation, and partnership for protected and conserved area systems throughout the continent. South Africa's first cannabis fund has launched its initial public offering through the Easy Equities investment platform. Silverleaf Investment, a venture capital company founded in early 2021, is focused on South Africa's rapidly growing commercial cannabis and hemp industry. The Silverleaf Fund made its first investment in a local medicinal cannabis facility shortly after launching and aims to be involved across all aspects of South Africa's cannabis value chain through cultivation, testing, manufacturing, distribution, and services. Now, the fund comes at an exciting time for cannabis in South Africa. Realizing the industrial potential of the plant, South Africa's government is actively working on a cannabis master plan to unlock 28 billion rands in added economic value and create 25,000 direct jobs. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa, in his latest State of the Nation address, said the hemp and cannabis sector has the potential to create more than 130,000 new jobs, and committed to reviewing policy and regulatory framework for industrial hemp and cannabis to realize the huge potential for investment and job creation. Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar has gone up in value when weighed against most of these major currencies, while dropping against the Chinese yuan by 0.4%. Let's check on Namibia stock prices now trade at $2.65 after an 8.2% increase in prices on the NSX. SBN Holdings stock prices are up by 0.9% on the NSX, while both local and overall index have also increased. Brent crude oil prices have dropped by 0.18%, while the contrary is the case for most of these other commodities, which have increased in price. Zambia ex-First Lady grilled in anti-corruption drive, while in Nigeria, 13 have been killed after accidentally engaging on an old bomb. After the break, these stories and more coming up on NMH at 1.
NMH Ad Spotter spots the daily adverts in all NMH printed editions, from the daily newspapers to the retail specials, as well as weekly, monthly and yearly focus editions. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact adspotter@synergy.com.na. NMH Ad Spotter. Spot it, like it, buy it.
In our news from across the continent, 13 scrap metal collectors in northeast Nigeria's Borno state were killed when a bomb they excavated blew up, security sources told AFP on Tuesday. 16 metal scavengers from a displaced persons camp in Bama found the bomb while digging for scrap on Monday in the bush on the outskirts of the town. Now, the bomb exploded as they were pushing it in a cart towards the town, killing 13 and seriously injuring 3. Babakura Kolo, a leader in a local anti-jihadist militia, said Kolo said the ordnance had apparently been dropped in 2015 when the military bombed jihadist positions during operations to retake Bama from Boko Haram. Nigeria's military is battling to end a 13-year jihadist insurgency in the country's northeast that has killed more than 40,000 people and displaced 2.2 million more. It was dormant for 7 years and buried in the sand, but they managed to dig it out, not knowing it was a bomb, said a second militia leader, Buka Grema, who gave the same toll. Boko Haram seized Bama in 2014 when they took over swaths of territory in northern Borno and declared a caliphate. In March 2015, Nigerian troops aided by Chadian soldiers clawed back most of the territory after months-long intensive ground and aerial operations. A new Tunisian constitution has been approved by 96.4% of participants in a referendum with 30.5% turnout, the head of the Independent High Electoral Commission announced Tuesday evening. Said's rivals accused the electoral board controlled by Said of fraud and said his referendum, held Monday, had failed. Most of Said's rivals called for a boycott, and while turnout was low, it was higher than the single figures many had expected. For some Tunisians, this move sparked fears of a return to autocracy, but they were welcomed by others fed up with high inflation and unemployment, political corruption, and a system they felt had brought few improvements. But the U.S. State Department said on Tuesday that it noted concerns that the new constitution includes weakened checks and balances that could compromise the protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms. Monday's vote came a year to the day after the president sacked the government and suspended parliament in a dramatic blow to the only democracy to have emerged from the 2011 Arab Springs uprisings. Zambia's former First Lady Esther Lungu was on Tuesday questioned over ownership claims of ultra-modern housing units in the capital, Lusaka. Local media are reporting another 15 flats near the State Lodge were seized by the Drug Enforcement Commission earlier this month, suspected to have been proceeds of crime. The anti-money laundering agency summoned Ms. Lunga after she claimed she owned the flats. She was accompanied by her husband, former President Edgar Lungu. The former First Family has been on the radar of Zambian investigative agencies in an anti-corruption campaign launched by President Hakainde Hichilema. Critics say the drive is politically motivated. The president, who came into power in August last year, has vowed to recover all allegedly looted resources by the Lungu's regime. Now, a powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck the northern Philippine island of Luzon earlier today, killing 4 people, while a petition to give outgoing British Prime Minister Boris Johnson Ukrainian citizenship and make him the country's Prime Minister has gone over 2,500 signatures. This story is coming up on the other side of this break.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is, bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navraag, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
A powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck the northern Philippine island of Luzon on Wednesday, killing 4 people, damaging buildings and sending strong tremors through the capital, Manila. 2 people were killed in Benguet province, 1 in Abra province, and 1 more in another province. Interior Secretary Benjamin Abalos told a news conference 60 people were injured, he said. Now, the quake struck about 11 kilometers southeast of the town of Dolores at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers, according to U.S. Geological Survey data. The quake hit close to Marcos family's political stronghold. Renato Soljem, director of the state seismology agency, told DZRH radio station strong aftershocks were expected. The focus of attention is on Abra and nearby provinces. This is a major earthquake, Soljem said. Abalos said 173 buildings were damaged and 58 landslides reported, with 44 of the 60 injured in Abra province. A hospital in Abra province was evacuated after the building partially collapsed, but there were no casualties reported there, officials said. Abra's Vice Governor Joy Bernos posted photos of the damaged Abra hospital on her Facebook account, which showed a gaping hole in its facade. Other photos showed hospital beds, including one with a patient being wheeled across a road, and evacuated hospital staff. Abra, home to nearly 250,000 people, is a landlocked province in the northern Philippines. The quake was also felt in Manila, where several buildings were evacuated, with some people forced to flee from the 30th floor of one building, and the city's metro rail systems were halted at rush hour. Now, a tongue-in-cheek petition to give outgoing British Prime Minister Boris Johnson Ukrainian citizenship and make him the country's Prime Minister has garnered over 2,500 signatures hours after being put up on Ukraine's official petition site on Tuesday. Despite losing domestic popularity and eventually having been forced to announce his resignation after dozens of ministerial departures in early July, Johnson remains a cult figure in Kyiv for his vocal support of Ukraine as it fights off Russia's invasion. The petition addressed to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky lists Johnson's strength as worldwide support for Boris Johnson's a clear position against the military invasion of Ukraine and wisdom in the political, finance and legal spheres. The petition, however, does acknowledge one negative side of such an appointment, its non-compliance with Ukraine's constitution. In an apparent coincidence, several hours after the petition was put up on Tuesday, Johnson presented Zelensky with the Sir Winston Churchill Leadership Award for what his Downing Street office described as incredible courage, defiance, and dignity in the face of Russia's invasion. Zelensky did not mention the new petition when accepting the award, but he will be obligated to officially respond if it receives 25,000 signatures. Accepting the award via video link from Kyiv, Zelensky quoted wartime British Premier Churchill, saying that Johnson had no thought of quitting the struggle when the going got tough. After the break, we'll be looking at our local sports news. Do stick around.
3, 2, 1.
We Talk brings you community news that lies at the heart of Windhoek residents. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact wetalk@synergy.com.na. You live, we talk.
With the Commonwealth Games due to start in Birmingham, England tomorrow, Namibia's participation has been rocked by claims of favoritism, racism, and disregard for the mental health of athletes. Athletics coach Letu Hamola, who is also a chief sports officer in the Ministry of Sports, Youth and National Services, yesterday held a press conference where he questioned his omission from the team and accused the Namibian National Olympic Committee of becoming a clandestine organization that promotes people on the basis of white privilege. The final round of the Bank Windhoek League took place on Saturday at the Swakopmund Feestbal Club. Cohen Feestbal Club 1 defeated Sports Club Windhoek with a score of 3-0 and won 12 championship points. SKW 3, CFC 2 and SFC 1 will advance to the A-League playoffs. After an impressive run at the recent COSAFA Cup in South Africa, promising Namibian striker Bethuel Mudeu has secured a deal with South African First Division side Black Leopards. After the break, we'll be taking a look at our international sports news. Ousmane Dembele and Moise Kean scored 2 goals apiece as Barcelona and Juventus fought to an entertaining 2-2 draw in their US preseason friendly in Dallas on Tuesday. The Commonwealth Games are sometimes seen as a quirky relic in the modern sporting calendar, but former International Olympic Committee marketing chief Michael Payne says they have constantly defied the doomsayers. The 22nd edition of the Games opens in Birmingham tomorrow, bringing together around 5,000 athletes from 72 nations and territories to compete in 19 sports over 11 days. Wales midfielder Aaron Ramsey has left Juventus a year before the end of his deal. Ramsey joined Juventus in 2019 as a free agent after spending almost 8 years at Arsenal and won the Serie A title A in his first campaign in Turin. If you are just joining us, we will be bringing you up to speed with the highlights from today's broadcast right after this commercial break.
3, 2, 1.
We Talk brings you community news that lies at the heart of Windhoek residents. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact wetalk@synergy.com.na. You live, we talk.
If you have just joined us, here are your news highlights. A powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck the northern Philippine island of Luzon earlier today, killing 4 people, damaging buildings. With the Commonwealth Games due to start in Birmingham, England tomorrow, Namibia's participation has been rocked by claims of favoritism, racism, and disregard for the mental health of the athletes. Those have been your highlights. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1 and spending your lunch hour with me, Glenn Rashipura. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. as we take you through the latest happenings in Namibia and beyond. And that's it from us in studio, but do stick around for a trip to the south where Monique Adams will be bringing you up to date with the news there.
Good day, viewers, and welcome back to Regional Review. My name is Monique Adams and I'm your South correspondent for Namibia Media Holdings. Today we're celebrating Chicken Fingers Day. Chicken fingers have been an all-time favorite for people over the past 20 years. As a quick and easy way to enjoy chicken fingers can have so many varieties in flavor and quality that the possibilities are endless. Raising Cane's decided that as part of the tradition to serve the chicken by celebrating Chicken Fingers Day, which is today, a day should be celebrated by people everywhere who love the taste and quality of delicious food. So that's the day we're celebrating, so let's get right into today's show. First up in our news segment, the mayor of Mariental, Jereen Kok, donated food packets to the sick children at the Mariental Hospital last week. So let's take a look at a few highlights. Her Worship, the mayor of the Mariental, Jereen Kok, donated food packets to sick children at the Mariental State Hospital. She was accompanied by management members at the Mariental municipality by Honorable Andy Boyce and Antoinette Angeline Simon. The fruit packets were distributed to the Klein Begin Soup Kitchen in the Takarania and Mariental Clinic. Recently, the office of the mayor of Mariental ended a 4-day gender-based violence and substance abuse workshop. Let's take a look at a few moments captured. The office of the mayor hosted a 4-day workshop on gender-based violence and substance abuse. The topics discussed were psychosocial support for victims and survivors of GBV, trauma counseling for children affected by GBV, and effects of substance and alcohol abuse on a body. The Hartablige Namibian Police Women and Child Protection Unit also gave through to statistics of GBV. Next up, Mariental resident Ethel Isak dropped off some supplies for the children currently under the care of Ministry of Gender at the temporary hostel in the town of Mariental. Next up, the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, with the assistance of the Governor's Office here in the Klaras region, handed over a new computer laboratory at the Keetmanshoop Multipurpose Youth Resource Center.
Because from the heart of the Turkish people to our hearts, they provided us with the entire lab, just for a smile. Exactly. So I'm smiling at you and I need you to smile back.
Yeah. All aware of the enormous impact that computer technology has on today's education system and way we communicate with one another. Skills in information and communication technology are required for day-to-day functioning in the worlds of work and leisure. Thanks to computers, teaching has become much easier and more interesting than before.
Here's what I found online.
Oh, yeah, this is another technology. It's everywhere, isn't it? The internet is increasingly being used in the place of traditional method of looking up information in big books. Distance learning is no longer confined to classrooms thanks to advances in computer technology. We are all aware that lack of basic computer skills or being computer illiterate significantly reduces one's chance of finding employment. Therefore, we are certain that this computer lab will give all users the fundamental computer skills they need to compete in the global economy. We hope that by donating this computer laboratory with all the necessary hardware and software, we can improve the training quality of this center, which plays an important role in the education of young people. It is now up to the youth, as her Honorable mentioned, imaginations to figure out how to best use this laboratory. Finally, I would like to thank Honorable Fredericks and her team for all their contributions and efforts towards the successful completion of this project. I would also like to thank everyone who has come to share this special day with us. Thank you so much.
Honorable Governor, to the Keetmanshoop Multipurpose Youth Resource Center.
For you. that we should shake hands. Yeah.
And in sad news, the procession of the late Chief Gau Petrus Quipper of the Kai Crown has begun in Marintal. My colleague Jemima Beekers attended the funeral, so let's take a look at a few moments captured.
The Sederland publication focuses on the southern region of Namibia, highlighting the activities that have an impact on different cultures and circumstances on the communities, as well as focusing on the role players responsible for the economic and social upliftment of these communities. The Sederland provides opportunities to share your accommodation specials, retail specials, news content for brand awareness, motoring specials. The Sederland is inserted in the Republican and distributed countrywide. Contact Republican at synergy.com.na.
Well, that has brought us to the end of our news segment. Now we head over to our interview. After a local business, Swart Motors here in Keetmanshoop, and a sports coordinator, Wolfgang Klute, donated sport equipment with a value of 2,000 to the St. Matthias and Don Bosco Primary School. This is what Wolfgang Klute had to say, as well as the two principals of the two primary schools had to say with this donation.
After a workshop that I attended with the Germans a few years ago, I came to this, if I get information and skills in making this handmade sports equipment, because I'm very, very passionate about sports for our young kids. So Mr. Rikus Koopman, actually from Swart Motor Construction, local businessman in Keetmanshoop, he contacted me also because he He heard about this venture which I am in, and at this stage he decided to sponsor or donate 2 sports combos to the value of $2,000 each to Don Bosco Primary School and St. Matthias Primary School. So on behalf of Rikus Koopman, again, I hope that the school principal, the staff, the learners will use this to the utmost best of the ability of the learners to improve their skills, as well as the teachers become more skillful, more passionate about sport. And I think at the end of the day, with the individual use of this equipment, and also as team events, the school can gain a lot of it.
The Talent Tech Focus will be published across our 3 daily publications, Republikein, Namibian Sun, and Algemene Zeitung, offering nationwide distribution of A3 tabloid copies and additional coverage through a high-gloss tabloid-style magazine. The Talent Tech Focus will showcase the front-runners in the telecommunication and technology fields, offering innovation to the local market and aiming to showcase both established and emerging players in the areas of tech, software, and digital product and service provision.
Rehoboth is mostly sunny and mild today, with wind subsiding tomorrow, although it will pick up again on Friday. With 30-degree days forecast, Marental is mostly sunny and on the warmer side this week, although temps will dip over the weekend. Keetmanshoop and Karasburg are mostly sunny and warmer, with patchy clouds expected on Thursday and Friday. Here too, temps will dip over the weekend. Ludwig has abundant sunshine today, but will cloud up somewhat tomorrow and over the weekend, with scattered showers forecast for Saturday.
Well, unfortunately, that has brought us to the end of today's regional review, but please do make sure to catch me again next week, Wednesday, same time, same place. My name is Monique Adams, and it's a goodbye for now.